Welcome back, Psychology 2301 students. It is Dr. T. Medley again. Here now to talk to you about cognition or thinking and gaining knowledge. Technically, this lesson is going to introduce you to concepts such as language development and theories of cognition. The way that we learn and think are going to be explored a little bit. So let's jump on in. So, cognitive psychology is the study of cognitive processes. It includes paying attention, remembering, reasoning, understanding concepts and facts and propositions, even rules. Cognitive psychologists are concerned with how we think and why we think the way that we do. They're also concerned with ways that we can pay better attention, remember better, reason better, understand better, right? Helping us with all of those cognitive processes. They try to figure out the steps we use to solve problems and maneuver within our environment. So, cognitive psychology is also concerned with the rules of language and how we use language, how we understand language. They're concerned with how language develops and why some people experience problems with language. So, for example, why is it so much easier to learn a language during the first few years of life compared to during adulthood? Very interesting question. That is partially related to actual brain development, which is why I said the brain biology and behavior chapter was going to be very foundational for some of the things that we'd be talking about. That then will impact, right, all of our cognitive processes. So, any of you know more than one language? At what age did you learn your second or third or any subsequent languages? Did you learn both at the same time, or did you learn them one after the other? The answers to those questions are all based in cognitive psychology and our ability to take in information. Research shows that often one method can be more effective than the other. So, language is important to our existence in so many ways. We communicate our needs to other people, our wants, with the use of language. So, people who have difficulty using or understanding language are technically at an advantage in this particular society. What problems do you think a person who is illiterate might have? Research shows that there are a high number of people, particularly in Tarrant County, who are what we may call functionally illiterate, that they have very basic reading skills at an elementary school level, that they're kind of able to maneuver and get by. But if they were asked to read an age level document, they would be unable to do so. And so there's lots of research on how do we fix that problem, right? How do we help people to learn reading faster, learn language faster? How do we prevent a lot of the reading disorders, things of that sort? Now, do you think it's possible for animals, such as chimpanzees, to learn language? Okay, some interesting thoughts. After you read through this cognition chapter, I would love to hear what your thoughts are about that question. Because this chapter is going to discuss the theories of language and some of the things that researchers even have yet to understand about language and other cognitive processes, not just for humans, but also for animals. This chapter discusses human problem-solving skills and reasoning abilities, right, that we're going to use our brain for. And cognitive psychologists overall are interested in the strategies that we use to solve problems, particularly more complex or complicated problems, logic puzzles, for example, and how various types of people are able to do that. Are there particular steps that people follow for solving certain types of problems? Research shows that in many cases, yes, there are. And another big question is, why are some people more successful at reasoning or thinking critically than others? And our future chapter on intelligence. We'll touch on that a little bit. Again, is some of the things that we learned in the brain and behavior chapter that can inform the answer to that question. Now, some people with particularly unique ways of interpreting and interacting with the world are referred to as creative. So, what characteristics do you think contribute to a person being creative or having a creative thinking style? Why are some people more creative than others? Creativity involves thinking outside the box and being willing to take chances in problem solving. Particularly, creativity involves flexibility of thought. Now, I will often tell people I'm not creative at all, which really isn't an untrue statement. I am not very creative when it comes to things like event planning or, colors, designing, more artistic types of creation. But I do have a pretty sort of critical approach to analysis in other types of thinking. So I can be creative in very nerdy kinds of ways, just not in artistic ways. So how many uses can you think of for a coffee cup? So think of a coffee mug and how many things you might be able to use that mug for besides just drinking coffee. I'll give you a few seconds. How many were you able to come up with? People who can list more uses for something like that, for example, tend to be more creative. People who are creative often are able to solve problems more quickly because they have an out-of-the-box approach to solving problems. But this is just compared to people who tend to be tested at lower levels of creativity. So there are lots of skills and abilities outside of having creative thinking. So it's not the only thing that is a part of intelligence overall, but it is an important piece that we often consider related to intelligence. And so that'll be the next chapter. So I don't want to get too far into that. As always, send me an email or post to the discussion board if you have questions or examples that you think would be helpful. And we'll see you soon in an upcoming chapter. Take care till then.